The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining today's webinar, Increasing Fee Revenue and Efficiency Automatically, Automating Fee Assessment Processes. My name is Greg Richards. I'm the Director of Marketing here at EnableSoft and a speaker for today's event. Just a few housekeeping points before we begin. All attendees are in listen-only mode. We can't hear you, but you can type any questions you have into the chat box on your screen. We'll do our best to get to as many of these questions as we can by the end of the webinar. Any unanswered questions will be addressed within 24 hours of the webinar's close. And so without further delay, let's formally introduce the topic, Introducing Fee Revenue and Efficiency Automatically, Automating Fee Assessment Processes. As I said, my name is Greg Richards. I'm the Director of Marketing here with EnableSoft, and I'll be sharing the content for today's webinar. Quick agenda for you. We're going to do our absolute best to have you out of here in 30 minutes. But before we do, these are our few points that we'd like to cover here today. We've already taken care of the introductions. First, after a brief introduction of EnableSoft, we're going to cover the state of fees and, more importantly, the state of fee assessment as it concerns the financial services industry, banking and credit unions. We'll also introduce automation technology, our automation technology that we hope and we think will make it just a bit easier for you to automatically assess fees and hopefully save time and money inside of your financial institutions. We'll cover a few case studies to illustrate this point, and then again, if there's time at the end, we'll wrap up with some Q&A. So quickly, who are we? Who is EnableSoft? Well, we really are all about what's possible today. We are an innovator in productivity and efficiency software solutions. We've been doing it for the better part of about 2 decades now. We're a partner to over 500 banks and credit unions. We are fortunate to include among those 1/3 of the top 1,000 and 1/2 of the top 100 performing banks. And we are based in sunny and warm Orlando, Florida. So enough about us. Let's talk about fees. And again, more importantly, fee assessment. And the state of things is that despite solid revenue and really revenue growth for the financial services industry over the past few years, it's harder than ever for banks and especially small to mid-sized financial institutions to make money. These first 2 points are fairly intuitive, right? Low interest rates, historically low interest rates, have led to low spreads across your loan portfolio, increasing competition from non-traditional sources, person-to-person lenders, crowdfunding, online-only offerings, and online-only financial institutions not only work to sort of siphon business away from your financial institution, but also compete for the eyeballs and attention and affection of your customer base. These last two are really important, though. Changing customer behavior today, it's easier than ever for customers to keep an eye on their accounts via mobile devices, tablets. They receive alerts if they're even approaching an overdraft status. As a result, obviously, financial institutions, and probably your financial institution, is collecting fewer and fewer overdraft fees these days, and one of the reasons is because customers are simply better able to track the status of their accounts. We're going to talk a little bit more, though, about onerous regulations like Dodd-Frank and Regulation E. The latter, of course, has a big effect on your ability to collect overdraft fees from your customers, and we'll get into that here in just a few seconds. So in truth, fee income is drying up. Non-interest income still is a vital part of the financial services industry. Over 1/3 of the total income for the industry in 2014 came from non-interest income. However, the fee component of non-interest income remains at its lowest point. In 2014, just 14% of your non-interest income was fees. That's down from 17% in each of the years of 2000 through 2009. In short, banks make less money today from account fees than at any point in the last 7 decades. We hope to make that a bit easier for you. As we see here, this last point, there's been a 21% drop in fees since the 2009 peak. So in 2009, the financial services industry collected about $41 billion in fees. Some $9 billion less than that were collected last year as an industry. So why is the state of fees as it is? Well, there's really 3 big challenges that we would propose or posit to you today. The first, Regulation E. That's something we all know. Regulation E requires any financial institution to permit its customers to opt in or opt out of overdraft status. So that, along with the sort of account visibility that we talked about just a few slides ago, has led to a sharp decrease in overdraft income for banks. The Dodd-Frank and the Durbin Amendments have restricted banks and credit unions' ability to collect fees, or charge fees rather, on debit card transactions, and it's reduced your interchange income, your ability to collect fees on those debit and credit card transactions. And then finally, something that we're really going to talk about today, where we can really help, is resource constraints. So your team is in all likelihood as small or smaller than ever, and human resource constraints have really, in all likelihood, harmed your ability to be able to manually assess fees and add new fees to assess and increase your revenue stream as we've moved through time here. The fix, obviously, something we hope to share with you here in the next slide. Find new sources of fee revenue, ideally sources of fee revenue that have not yet been regulated out of existence. And 2, improve the efficiency with which fees are collected. Reduce the strain that manual processes put on an already strained human resources component to your organization. So as I said a few slides ago, here at EnableSoft, we are fortunate to have about 500 financial institutions as customers. We talk to them a lot. We talk to them about a lot of different things. And one of them, most recently anyway, is what they're doing to collect fees and improve revenue from the fee assessment side of the house. And they've told us some different things. Some of these you've probably already instituted or thought of: wire transfer fees, certified check fees, teller fees, and so on. But it's really these last 4 where we've seen sort of a marked increase in activity from some of our customers lately. Number 1, check cashing fees for non-customers. We're seeing more and more of our customers charge, let's say, $5 or $10 nominal fees for non-customers to come and cash their checks at their particular financial institutions. Multi-tier overdraft fees for those customers who have opted in to receive overdraft protection per Regulation E. Consider a tiered structure to your overdraft fees, maybe $50, $100, or $150, depending on the level of overdraw. Courtesy pay service fees, so for customers that have not, let's say, linked a savings account and checking account as their sweep account for their overdraft service, consider a courtesy pay service whereby you cover those charges for them, and then of course charge them a not insignificant service fee for that. Skip a payment fees rather. That's something we've seen more and more customers implementing. For those customers who offer an auto loan, for example, a great service for your customers is offering the ability for them to skip a payment or 2 or 3, and then of course you charge them a fee for that particular service. So those are just a few examples of some of the things we're seeing, some of the trends we're seeing from our customers as far as fee collection processes. Those are all well and good, but of course the problem is how do we actually go about the process of assessing those fees? And the reality is assessing fees and charges for most of you is probably to this day a manual process. For those financial institutions on the call today who implement some kind of mass data maintenance tool, that's that MDM there on the first point, perhaps it's provided by your core provider. In most cases, fee assessment with a mass data maintenance tool is not possible. Those are great for updating all of your customer records or none of your customer records, but they're not able to perform updates or fee assessments, in this case, on small subsets of your customer base, 10%, 20%, 1,000 accounts, 5,000 accounts, whatever the case may be. In many cases, those discrete updates, those updates of smaller portions of your customer database have to be performed by hand. That's pulling someone off of their regular job, moving human resources away from serving customers, for example, and sitting them in front of a terminal and having them manually assess fees by hand. In general, as we talked about, those manual processes, those manual fee assessment processes, pull resources away from more important projects, again, serving customers, boarding new loans, what have you. They prevent those teams from building value in important ways. If you're pulling somebody off of talking to customers, for example, that's an activity that builds value in your financial institution. Sitting in front of a terminal, adding fees and updating information might not necessarily be. They're costly. Of course, there's obviously a real cost to employing that person to sit in front of a terminal or a computer and add fees, but there's also an implicit cost. the cost of them not doing a more value-building activity. And of course, they're unstructured. I'll share with you a case study in just a few minutes of one financial institution who pulled 3 and 4 people off of their regular jobs each month to simply assess fees. I would argue then that job was probably done 3 or 4 different ways. When you have multiple people doing a job manually, there is no single best way to do that job. So we hope to show you an alternative to that here in a few minutes. So the idea today is really to open your eyes to changing your current fee assessment process, right? We know we have to increase fee income. Perhaps there's some new ways you're looking at, new fees you're looking at to charge and to increase your fee income for your financial institution. And we want to offer you or show you today a different way to do that, a new process and a new workflow to help you do that much easier and save time. So we here at EnableSoft look back at a survey that McKinsey & Company conducted in 2012. They interviewed something like 500 different financial institutions, and they talked to them about why it's often so difficult for financial institutions to change their current processes. And again, in this case, we're talking about fee assessment processes, but why is it so hard for them to change their current processes, to adopt a new technology, even if it's an enabling technology, a technology that might make things easier for them? What are those obstacles to change in these 500 or 600 financial institutions that they spoke to? And they found these 4 reasons. They found, number 1, financial institutions rarely take a hard look at their procedures. You are busy, you're absolutely swamped, and in most cases you have those human resource constraints that we talked about a little earlier. Oftentimes you simply don't have the time to go and look at a new technology that might help to make a particular job a little bit easier. Mergers and acquisitions, product launches, and regulations have left financial institutions with a complex IT structure. In many cases, you've got disparate core systems, LOS systems, card issuance systems, many different systems that are in all likelihood not integrated and have left you with sort of a maze of different financial technologies. And there's oftentimes concerns that some new technology and enabling technology will come in and somehow not work well, not dovetail, not integrate with those various technologies. Reason 3, operations and IT groups rarely share agendas and priorities. In operations, lending, deposits, whatever the case might be, your goal is obviously to serve customers and serve your financial institution and your organization. IT is much more concerned with a business level focus, right? They're concerned with developing and adopting technologies that help the organization as a whole be more efficient, and rarely do those 2 agendas overlap. And then finally, you might lack the internal capabilities to introduce more technology and processes. That's simply the attitude that, look, I just can't afford the time to look at a new technology, to learn a new technology, and to implement it in our financial institution. So today we hope to show you an alternative to help expedite and simplify your fee assessment processes so you can save time and so your financial institution can make more money. And that alternative process is Foxtrot. So Foxtrot is software, which we'll show you here in just a few minutes, but it's software that automates your existing business processes, so there's really no need to change what you do now. We talked about a reluctance to do that in many cases in the previous slide. Foxtrot works with your existing IT infrastructure now and in the future, so if you do have that complex labyrinth of unintegrated or disparate LOS systems and card issuance systems and core systems, Foxtrot works with those equally well, and in many cases integrates those disparate systems to make them work that much better. It's a solution that can be used by operations to help you save time so you can spend time with customers, and it can be implemented IT organization-wide to help all areas of the bank or the credit union save time and money. And it's something that requires no new internal capabilities. This is not a new technology that takes a long time to learn or to implement. It's something you can get today and implement today and begin saving time today. So this is Foxtrot. We call Foxtrot software your digital employee, and for the very reason that it automates manual fee assessment workflows, automatically performs them rather, in the same way that you would, and that's why we call it a digital employee. Works in the user interface of all core systems. That's important. What that means is that your core system or your card issuance system or whatever system it happens to be sees Foxtrot as just another user. All of your security rules and all of your business rules are maintained when you use Foxtrot. Foxtrot follows rules you define to change customer records. So in just a few slides here, we'll show a demo of Foxtrot and how it works, and you'll see a series of actions or a list of actions. These are rules that we've created for Foxtrot, and Foxtrot follows them every single time without error. And most importantly, this last point, Foxtrot allows you to focus on building value for your organization, not spending time with data. So now we'd like to cover just two brief case studies before we get into a quick demonstration of Foxtrot. These are both customers, obviously. The first customer is a $1.5 billion bank located in the Midwest. This bank was chartered in 1865. It's got 39 locations in 25 communities throughout their service area, and they employ over 400 people. So this particular bank, again, this $1.5 billion Midwestern bank, uses Foxtrot for all sorts of different things. These are two examples. We'll really focus on the second one. But in the first case, they use Foxtrot to automate overdraft changes. So again, this financial institution opens about 500 accounts, new accounts, each week. That's about 2,000 a month, obviously. They spend about 16 hours, or used to spend rather, about 16 hours each week in front of a computer manually changing the overdraft codes on each of these new accounts. So one person had to be dedicated to spend essentially 2 full days every week to change the opt-in or the opt-out status on all of these new accounts that would be open. After Foxtrot, they're able to automatically perform these overdraft election changes in about an hour. So that's 2,000 accounts each month done in about an hour. That's a 94% reduction in time. But most importantly, that individual, I don't know if they drew straws or whatever the case might be, but that particular individual now has 2 more days of their time, again, to go and build value for the organization, serve customers, do something more important than change data. But the big part of this case study here is the second point, the automation of dormancy fees. So this was about 2 years ago, and this particular financial institution, this bank, decided to institute an account dormancy fee. So if a checking account, for example, had been untouched for a year, that bank would then assess that individual $2. They would debit that account $2 every month, assuming it had been, of course, dormant for about a year. The drawback here is that the bank had about 3,500 accounts that had already been dormant at that point for a year, and they had no way to go back in time, essentially, and retroactively assess these fees. Their mass data maintenance tool, their core system, would not permit this retroactive assessment of fees. So one alternative was to pull an individual off of the floor, off of serving customers or doing their regular job, and sit them in front of a terminal and take a week or more and manually navigate each of these 3,500 different accounts, manually calculate the fee amount that each account was to be charged, and then assess those fees by hand. Already having Foxtrot, they implemented Foxtrot. They wrote a script to go ahead and, again, retroactively search these accounts, search for those accounts that had been dormant for a year, and automatically assess those fees. So Foxtrot took a job that would have taken a week by hand and did it in approximately 3 hours and generated about $10,300 in extra fees, and that was in a few hours. Foxtrot is now used proactively to go into the core system and assess dormancy fees and other fees on an ongoing basis. Next case study we have here, this is a $384 million bank, also located in the Midwest. We serve lots of customers. They're not all located in the Midwest. This one was established in 1942 as a check cashing facility, employs 900 people, and is a winner of multiple Bank of the Year awards from various governing bodies and trade groups. So this bank, again, using Foxtrot for fee assessment and Regulation E / overdraft election changes. With regard to fee assessment, this is another bank that opens 2,000-3,000 accounts per month, but they do have one particular type of checking account, as you most do, that requires a certain minimum balance, online checking, direct deposit, you name it. When those certain criteria are not met, that customer is assessed, obviously, a fee. I believe it's a $5 or $6 a month monthly fee. Prior to Foxtrot, the process would be to take one person, again, off of serving customers, off of the sales floor, to sit at a terminal and take one full day, one business day, 8 hours, to navigate all of the accounts that month, some 1,000, 2,000 accounts that had incurred this fee, and add that $5 or $6 fee to those accounts by hand. It would take one full day, and now with Foxtrot automates that process, and that individual is now free to go and do their job. But most importantly, Regulation E and overdraft changes. This particular bank opens about 2,000 accounts per month, opens up to 3,000 accounts per month. They used to have a twice daily process whereby somebody would log into their core system and sit at a computer and twice a day for a couple of hours navigate and search each of their newly opened accounts and manually enter the overdraft elections, either yes or no, on each of those newly opened accounts. They would pull the information from their online banking system or from their teller system and assess those fees manually. Now with Foxtrot navigates all of those newly opened accounts twice per day, integrates with their online banking system, their online banking platform, to identify their newly opened accounts, and performs those Regulation E changes automatically in a matter of minutes. So let's take a look at Foxtrot. Quick demo, just a 2 or 3 minute demonstration of Foxtrot in action here for everybody. On the left, we see a browser-based core system that will remain unidentified. On the right, we see Foxtrot. This is actually an older version of Foxtrot. It's changed just a bit, but still functions just the same. The application we're looking at here is we have asked Foxtrot to change the overdraft protection date, statement codes, and some other information on a number of test accounts. We have loaded a spreadsheet full of test account information into Foxtrot, which is evident here at the bottom. We've then told Foxtrot to enter those sort of Mickey Mouse account numbers into the account number field, to press the submit button, and to access that account. And so what we see here is Foxtrot essentially executing that step. That's one step in a much longer process. What we've done then is write a full script. Now this is a script is essentially a series of actions or a series of instructions. We essentially drag this target that you see here at the top left of Foxtrot onto the screen, onto any button or field. Foxtrot provides us with a list of actions. What do you want me to do with this object? We tell Foxtrot what we want done, and then Foxtrot records that as an action. When we compile many of those actions, we end up with a script. So now what we're telling Foxtrot to do is, much like we just saw in that last step, reference the account number in the spreadsheet that we've provided, that we uploaded into Foxtrot, navigate these sites, use the account number to look up the particular account, change the responsibility code, change the overdraft limit, change the overdraft protection date, change the statement code, press submit, and then navigate on to the next record. So what you see Foxtrot doing is essentially looking up each and every record that we've included in this spreadsheet, navigating to those accounts, changing the information just as we've requested, saving the information, and then moving on. Now we're changing overdraft information here and overdraft fees and protection amounts. This is the same process for opening new accounts, canceling cards, mass data conversions, whatever the case might be. In each case, you're telling Foxtrot what you need done, telling it how to do the job, pressing play, and then letting Foxtrot do its job. So we'll run through just a few more records here, and then we'll start to wrap things up. Very good. So as I alluded to in the previous slide, Foxtrot is much more than just fee assessment. The process we saw was changing overdraft fees, changing overdraft statuses and statement codes. Foxtrot automatically performs card breach recovery, so automating the process of adding hot card flags to cards that have been compromised, canceling them, reissuing them, notifying customers via email. Anything you're doing now manually is something that can be automated very quickly with Foxtrot. Duplicate account merges, if you're dealing with it should be really duplicate customer information merges. If you're dealing with instances where you have multiple of the same customer inside of your core system, Foxtrot automates that account standardization and merge process, data conversions, web and core integration. If your core system is not integrated online with your web platform, Foxtrot can scrape that data from your web platform and get it into your core system. Loan onboarding, account opening and closing, really anything that somebody is spending time doing manually today in your financial institution when they could be doing something else, when they could be building value, that's something that can be automated very quickly with Foxtrot. So we've got a few minutes left here, enough time for a Q&A. I'd like to take this opportunity first to thank everybody for joining us today. If you have some questions about what you've seen here today, go ahead and please enter them into the chat box or on the question screen on your GoToWebinar platform. Seen a few come in. We did have a question earlier, by the way, that asking if this presentation would be available in a PDF format, or if we could provide the presentation. The answer is yes. If you'd like to see this presentation in a hard copy, for example, we'll provide you with an email address at the end of the event. You can simply request it via email that way. So one question we've got is, we saw Foxtrot in a browser environment. Can it work in green screen? Yes, Foxtrot works for those of you who run a green screen browser, or green screen core system rather. Terminal emulators, Foxtrot does work equally well in browser environments and green screen environments. Can Foxtrot be used on different computers is another question. Yes, so Foxtrot is really object-oriented, not position-oriented. So Foxtrot looks for objects on the screen, buttons, specific fields, specific drop-down menus, etc. Foxtrot is really agnostic as far as screen resolution. You can even use Foxtrot when your screen is minimized. It doesn't look for a specific location on the screen. It looks for specific objects on the screen. So you can use Foxtrot on different computers. You can actually have Foxtrot, by the way, installed on as many computers as you wish. We have a concurrent license model, so you can run as many active sessions as you have licenses, but you can have Foxtrot installed on any number of machines. Another question here is, can you write scripts for our bank? I assume they mean, the question is EnableSoft. Can EnableSoft write scripts? Yes. We do have a professional services arm that can tackle your script writing for you. You do receive training if you invest or license Foxtrot. You do get training up front to help you with your scripting. But after that, we do offer sort of a la carte help through our professional services department to assist you with your scripting needs. If there are no other questions, okay. So lastly, I want to provide you with our contact information. If you're interested in what you saw here today, I encourage you to give us a call. We can be reached at 800-215-9397. Send us an email, obviously sales@enablesoft.com, or you're obviously always welcome to visit us on the web at enablesoft.com. Oh, we did have one more question here that came in. Is there training available for ongoing users? Yes, that's absolutely the case. Yeah, our professional services department does offer ongoing training. So if you're a current Foxtrot customer and you need some more training, if your Foxtrot champion has left, for example, you can invest in more training. Yes, you can invest in more training through our professional services department. So that's our contact information. I would like to leave you now quickly with just a quote from Henry Ford. Henry Ford was not a banker, but he did know something about efficiency nonetheless. When he said, if you need a solution and don't buy it, you'll ultimately find that you have paid for it and don't own it. And that's certainly the case with Foxtrot, and in this particular topic of fee assessment, that might be more true here than any other application for Foxtrot. So we encourage you to take a look at our website and find out for yourself. We thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We know your time is valuable. We appreciate you spending 30 minutes of it with us. Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you very much.